and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for joining me for this week's kind of vlog about my week. So today is Monday, and I thought that I would just kind of talk you guys through my week, what we're going to be doing this week in intervention, and show you a little bit of my lesson planning and my thoughts of how I do some planning. So that's what this week's video is about. It's about what I'm teaching and how I actually do my lesson plans. So in my last video, I introduced you guys to my classroom, did a tour, and I showed you all how I kind of organized by color based on the system that I use. So I use a color-coded system based on the colors that Voyager, which is our intervention program that's more so on the comprehension side. It does have a little bit of phonological awareness in it, but I mostly use it for the comprehension. So here is my planner, and as you can see, it's all color-coded with all the things that I will be doing during the week. So it has my schedule here of how I actually see my students. So I start off with my 4th grade students, then I go to 3rd, 2nd, 1st, kinder, and I end my day in 5th grade. So with our 4th grade students, they are actually finishing up their checkpoint. We're in our first adventure. With our adventures, they're theme-based, they're thematic, and so in this adventure, we were talking, hold on, because I have so many adventures. We're talking about wild and tamed animals. So the theme is about wild and tamed animals, and with that theme, they're reading different texts. So we will focus on a certain skill. And so the skill we have been focusing on all of the texts that we have been reading, was narrative and expository text features. They're looking for the narrative and expository text features, and they're also looking for and answering the 5 W's and an H question. We did a little bit of sequencing too in the beginning as well. So those are the things that we're reading, but we're using a theme to collect evidence and to bring out this skill. So that's what we're reading, and they're learning different things. I'm even learning different things. One of the stories we read about was about bats, and so the kids had a question like, are bats just in this certain region that was in our text? And I was like, well, what do you guys think? And so they were like, well, we don't know. And I was like, well, look it up and then come back and tell me. One student, she looked it up and she found out all this information, and she gave a full report to the kids. And so I gave her a little treat out of my treasure box. But that is one thing that I really like about the Voyager, is that there are a lot of different texts. The texts are very complex. They get exposure to all these different texts, and then they're learning all these things. And so we're asking and answering questions and doing all of those things, and they're actually really learning something that's going to help them further along. So I definitely enjoy the themes, and so I thought this was a good point for me to kind of tell you guys and talk through what we do. So to determine where I put the kids, there's a placement test that actually tells me what adventure we should start in, because I believe it's 12 adventures. So we actually started with this particular group, adventure number 4. And so it has 10 lessons. It has a starter lesson to kind of start it off, and then 10 other lessons. Lesson number 5 and lesson 10 are checkpoints. So they're finishing up their checkpoints there. And so tomorrow we're actually going to, what I thought I was going to do was, I thought I was going to actually start the new adventure, but I'm not going to be able to, because we had a little bit of struggles with the checkpoint. And so I actually want to review the checkpoint and kind of see where their misconceptions were, see what their thinking was. And it wasn't more so on the comprehension side, it was actually on the vocabulary. So some of the words that they needed to put in proper context and understand, they were having some difficulty with. And they were words, and I'll just tell you guys what they were. They were words that were related to the text that we were reading, like wilderness, wolves, flight. And it wasn't like an airplane flight, but it was more so about birds taking flight. Greatest, families, pack, like a pack of wolves. So I want to go back and just redo some vocabulary work on that for them to make sure they definitely understand the context behind those vocabulary words. And so my third graders, they're also finishing up their checkpoint as well. And I believe in third grade, our adventure was about being healthy. And so we learned a lot of different things. I didn't even realize about like straining your muscles with certain exercises and things and how to stay fit. So we had a really good time learning all about that, and they have done really well. Although I did notice that the students are having some problems segmenting words as far as they're decoding them in the first part and the second part, which is, I feel like, is more so to do with open and closed syllables. So I feel like I need to go ahead and review that with them tomorrow. So I want to focus in on that part with them. But they did really well on the comprehension questions. And then their next adventure is going to be about their favorite city. And I love this adventure because here I kind of get to, for a lot of my students at the school that I work at, they have not been to a whole lot of other cities. So I get to expose them to other cities and what they're like, maybe their foods, the favorite things to do. So I love that one because eventually maybe they may ask their parents if they can visit one of those cities. I do work on other phonics skills with the kids while I am doing these adventures. So with the 4th and 5th graders, embedded in their comprehension skills, I'm also talking to them about prefixes and suffixes. And with my 3rd graders, we're going to be talking about contractions and the FSLZ rule. So that's what we'll be talking about this week. And so for my 2nd graders, I'm actually using UFLI, and this is what the manual looks like, UFLI Foundations. It's a fairly inexpensive program, and I can tell you, you as an educator, I want you to feel empowered. If you have a phonics program that is just not working, if you feel like you are struggling with making sure that the kids understand and have a good solid phonics foundation, definitely go on the UFLI website. If you can, invest in the manual. I believe it's about $80. All the slides that you need are online. You just need the manual to teach with. So all of their resources and everything is online. They even now have a placement test, which is kind of like the old school core phonics placement test that you can give to your students, and you can place them into the right skill. So it's broken down in I'll show you guys the scope and sequence of it. So it's broken down into these skills. It's broken down into these skills here. And so you'll give them the placement test, and then you'll find out where they land, and then that's where you'll start. And it has a suggested scope and sequence of kind of like what skills you might need to teach your students or not. Just use your best judgment. With my 2nd grade students, we started out, after I gave them the placement test, they were really struggling once we got to the vowel consonant E's. So that's exactly where we started. And I spent quite a bit of time going through the vowel consonant E's, because the way that it's broken down is that it starts with the A consonant E, I consonant E, O consonant E, and then it breaks and it reviews those 3. And then it goes into the E consonant E, U consonant E, then it reviews all of them. So that's the flow that I went through, and the kids really got it down and solid. I will explain how I actually amp it up just a little bit. As my exit ticket out of the door, I have this cute little fuzzy yarn ball, and I pass it to the kids. The way that they line up is they have to tell me a word that goes with that skill that we learn. Sometimes I might tell them to just tell me the word. Sometimes I might even ask them to spell it too. And I tell the kids, you cannot use someone else's word. So some kids, like I may have a kid that I know is kind of struggling, but they don't want to, seem like they didn't get the lesson. So say the word was slice. I will accept someone who says slices, like if they just extended the word or sliced. If they maybe was like, oh, well, I'll just do that. So that just lets me know that, hey, maybe they're still struggling, and I just need to work with them a little bit more. So with my first graders, we are working on the advanced version of the short I. That's one thing that I like about UFLI, is that first it teaches you the short I sound with regular CVC words, and then it has a next lesson just to shore up that skill, where you can do CVC or CVCC type words, instead of the regular CVC words. So we would do that, use some short CVC words, and then we'll go into the advanced lesson, and I'll tell them, hey, we've already talked about the short I, but now let's see if we can get some advanced. And I'll tell them that this is advanced. Advanced means it's a little harder because I'm adding in an extra sound, and so they kind of understand that, and they're getting that academic vocabulary that knows what advanced means. It's a little bit harder. And so we'll go through that lesson, and then they will have to write the words for me and do the ticket out of the door. Today was my first day with my kinder kiddos, and on the first day of our lesson, we just talked about A. A makes the sound A. And we focus on right now the mouth positions of the sound. So all the kids have a mirror, and I'll show you guys the mirrors that I use. They're not breakable or anything like that. I found these nice big shatterproof ones, and of course they're color coded. But they use those, and we focus on the mouth position of how they are supposed to say that sound, and we practice writing upper and lowercase a, and then we just talked about some words that we might hear the A sound in. So I'll give them words like apple, or I may have cat, where they really have to kind of listen for the sound. So I try to mix that up just to make sure they're really hearing the sound. Now that is something that I do extra. That is not a part of UFLI, but that's for me, just really making sure that they are really understanding and they really know that A says ah, because in the lesson I will teach them that A can say ah at the beginning of a word and at the middle of a word. So at the end, I'm just making sure that they understand that yes, it's in the beginning and it's also in the middle as well. So we would do that. Their exit, their ticket out the door exit would be thumbs me up and down. Do they hear that ah sound with that? And then for my fifth graders, what we do is I work to support the fifth grade teacher in whatever skills it is that they're currently working on, because our fifth graders are pretty advanced. And so what they are working on right now is author's purpose, identifying it in this text passage that they're reading. So they have this long text that they're reading. It's probably about 10 pages. And so we break down each page and we talk about the author's purpose. Why did they write this particular page? We also talk about the audience. Who did they write it to? We talk about also the structure. Was it a descriptive? Was it sequencing? So we write all of that and we get some evidence from that. And then we also do text clues of why they chose the author's purpose, what text in the text matches the author's purpose. So it's a little chart thing that we fill out as we read, and we go through and we pick out different elements. For some of the kids that are struggling maybe with some reading of words, I will go in and we will point out different type of words, multisyllabic words, of reviewing some of those phonics skill sounds just in case they missed it, or suffixes and prefixes. So I'm always kind of looking for ways to also infuse that phonics portion and word portion within them. So that was my day today. Super busy, but very successful. So that was my day. That was Monday. So I'll let y'all know how Tuesday goes. So hey y'all, happy Tuesday. It's the middle of the day, so it is my planning time, and I just wanted to come on and update you guys on how my Tuesday intervention classes have been going. Everything has gone extremely well. I picked up my fourth graders and we went over our assessment, and so that was really good. And so we cleared up, some little issues that we had there. I did the same thing with my third graders today. So I think we'll be ready to go ahead and start our adventure. However, tomorrow, because I am the lead intervention teacher, I have a meeting for the first part of the day, so I'll miss my kids tomorrow. So I probably won't be able to actually get our adventure started until maybe Thursday, possibly also Friday, because I'm also looking at my calendar and I see that on Thursday I have another meeting that I need to do. That's one of the things that is kind of like the hardest part of the beginning of the school year, is that there are so many trainings that we have to go to kind of make sure that we're kind of on the right track for for the school year. So there's a lot of trainings and things going on. My second graders, we started out with our lesson 60 with the C and the E making the S sound. And so I just was letting my students know that, hey, we just finished doing vowel consonant E's. And so we know this new skill now, but now we have another thing that we have to kind of keep in our brains, that anytime we see the C and the E together, it's going to make the S sound. So they were like, oh, okay. So I was like, that A is still going to say the long vowel sound. The I will still say the long vowel sound, but the C and the E are now making the S sound. So we did a lot of practice with that. And I think that's one of the things that I completely love about UFLI, is the systematic way that they teach the phonics skills and lessons. It just makes more sense to the students for me to first have started out with the vowel consonant E and then go into the C and the E, because after the C and the E, I'm going to go into the G and the E and the sound that it makes. And so it's it's easy, and it's kind of like spiraling and going back over that same vowel consonant E skill, but also making sure they kind of understand a newer component to that, or like an exception to the rule. So I love that the kids were so engaged, and I feel like they really, really got it and they understand. I know it was just day one, but we're going to kind of see how day two goes, where we will be using our boards to actually create those words and sounds and everything. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Oh no, I won't be with them tomorrow because they're also in the first part of the day. That's the only thing that I kind of don't like sometimes when I have these impromptu meetings, that I don't get a chance to kind of really stay consistent. But like, I have to tell myself, it's just the beginning of the year. We have all these meetings and trainings and things, so things will get better. So I do want to show you guys a little bit of what I do and how I do things with them. We're good, and I'm right on schedule to meet with my first graders, where we're doing the short I advanced. They really have enjoyed that from yesterday. So I'm looking forward to them today doing the short I advanced. So we're going to work on using our alphabet trays. And so let me show you guys what I use, the alphabet trays and things that I use for them in the beginning. So excuse the glare, but I wanted to show you guys the resources that I use here. So these are sound boxes. This is a board. It's magnetic. These are magnetic. And that is magnetic as well. So sometimes, depending on where the students are, like my kindergarten students, to first try to get them understanding letters and letter sounds, sometimes we will just go ahead and use these boards, and then we'll use these paddles, which are magnetic. So I will just have them do a word and we'll touch and sound it out. So say for my first graders that I'll be working with today, I'll tell them the word is slid, and so we'll sound it out, slid. And so sorry about that. And so we'll say what letter goes here, what's the first sound, and so we'll get our S, and it's magnetic, and then we'll have our L, our I, and then we'll have the D. And then we'll write it, and then we'll put our finger here and we'll slide and say it. So we can, sometimes we'll do it that way. Sometimes for my more advanced kids, like my second graders, I will have them just write on here. Or sometimes even for the smaller kiddos, say if it was the word like as, or if it was am, I would have them do this. Now, one thing that I really like as a strategy that I've been doing with the students, for my students, is blending, especially my ones that need some help blending. So sometimes the continuous blending, I'll say, okay, we're gonna make a train and do our blend our sounds. So I'll say p, we'll do p, am. So I'll be like, okay, all the letter sounds have to like crash into each other. So, and they really kind of get a kick out of that when I tell them that. But we can use this board because I can slide things back and forth, because it's much bigger than this one, than me saying p, am. So I don't want them to get confused. I really want them to do that continuous blending. So this is what I would, kind of use. So we'll do, or even if I, had to break it down even further, we'll say, okay, this is am. So I would say am. And as soon as it knocks into the next one, you got to say the next sound. So that's some of the strategies that I use and some of the resources that I use with my lower grades. This is from Pioneer Valley. That's where I got that from. And as you can see, like I said, it's all magnetic. And this is magnetic too. These are not magnetic. This is just regular, like laminated, and it's two-sided, where it has the VC, CVC, and then the other longer vowels. So those are the things that I'm more than likely going to be using with my firsties and my kindergarten students today, since we've already talked about the letter A. So we have our anchor charts up. So we already talked about A, so we're gonna talk about M. So I'll be able to put A and M together. So we'll be able to start just blending out a simple word like this, am. So we'll work on that, and we'll probably use the boards for that. And then we have the short I, and then I'm just gonna write underneath. I'm gonna write underneath that short I advanced, and then we'll do some advanced words on our anchor chart. So I'll link those resources to where I got all of those manipulatives from Amazon. The letters and all of that, we got that from Amazon. And the sound boxes, I believe it came with our Voyager kit, so I'm not sure if I can kind of find that, but maybe I can try to find you something similar. Maybe you can just create something and laminate it and have it front and back. But yeah, those are the resources that I'll be using with my kinder and firsties. And then with my fifth graders, we've been really enjoying this story that we're reading about called The One Hen, about a boy whose father died, and his mom, it's him and his mom, and he's trying to help support his mom, and how he comes up with this idea to buy a chicken so that the chicken can lay eggs, so that they can sell the eggs for money and things like that. So it's a very relatable story for a lot of kids who may not have two parents in their homes, and we've been having some really good discussion about that. So it's been really cool, and for us to kind of bring out those points of the author's purpose and who the audience is, the context clues, and the type of writing. It's very descriptive. It's really giving us a lot of details into their life and how he's doing and what he's doing, and we're able to make some inferences. So it's been really going very well. I'm totally enjoying this week. So it's been a great week. So y'all, that is my Tuesday. I probably won't come back on, but that is Tuesday. So I'll see y'all Wednesday. Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I didn't get much done today. My meeting lasted pretty much the whole day, and when I got back into the school building, I needed to update my principal and let her know that we have all of our students that are scheduled correctly in the system. And we'll definitely get the funding that we need to support our intervention teachers and students and everything. So that was for FTE count. So we have successfully gotten all of that done. So that is a plus. So I'm so glad to report that that is done. The very next time I'll have to do that is in the second half of the year, which will be in February. So I did not get much done. Like I said, I wasn't able to really pull any students except for my kinder kids. I was able to meet with them, and so we just did day 2, and that was the letter M, and so we were able to kind of put A and M together, and so that's pretty much where we are right now. That's kind of like how my Wednesday has gone. I do have a couple of things that I need to do. There is an Excel spreadsheet, excuse me, an Excel spreadsheet that I am going to be using to put their checkpoints in. Well, not checkpoints, where their spelling test in. I got it from someone else, but I'm not quite sure if I can share it with you all. I need to find out first if I can share it with you all. But it's a wonderful checklist. It's an Excel spreadsheet where you'll just have to put your student's name, and it already has set up all of the actual test for UFLI. So it has it already set up. What are the sounds? What are the hard words? What are the dictation? Everything is already pre-entered in for you. You don't have to worry about it from lesson number 1 to lesson 100 and I think it's like 27 or 130 or something like that. So what I normally do is on that Excel spreadsheet, it's broken down into the different tabs or the different sections that they have. Like the first section is lessons 1 through 4, and those lessons are basically like the alphabet lessons. And so in lessons 1 through 4, 1 through 34, I'm sorry, it has one tab. So I'll have the kids' names, and so how I set it up is I'll have the kindergartners, because those are the ones that start with those lessons. But then the second tab is like lesson 35 to like, I think it's like might be like 40 something, or maybe even 50 something. I think it's about 50 something. And so those deal with some other type of spelling rules, and so that's where my first graders start, and then possibly some second graders. So I'll have the first graders' names and the second graders' names. Yeah, it'll make more sense once I can actually share that document with you all, and I might even edit that part out of the video. I'm not even sure, but that's how Wednesday went. Not much work done today. Looking forward to Thursday. I'll only be with my students in the afternoon because in the morning I have a meeting. And then Friday, I'll switch that around and have my kids in the morning and have my meeting in the afternoon. So that's how this week is going. See y'all tomorrow. Hey y'all, happy Friday. Today has been a pretty productive day. I was not able to do any videos on Thursday, because I had trainings, as I mentioned to you all, that I was doing with some of the teachers at the school. I was able to actually meet with my students because the training was only about 10 minutes, about the first 10 minutes of their planning time. And then I went and grabbed my kiddos and I worked with them pretty much for about 30 minutes or so. So I was able to meet with my kids, so we were able to go ahead and get some things done. So I'm super excited about that I was able to actually meet with my kiddos, and then and not totally cancel classes. So today is Friday, and we went ahead as planned with my 4th and 3rd grade class. I went ahead and we started our new unit. The kids are super excited. I'm excited about it too, about the cities. And we did a little bit of research in the beginning about the 10 largest cities in America. And then we're going to see which one of those that will be. We got our list of 10, and so they kept that in their little half sheet composition notebooks, and then they are going to see and write some of the things that we learn about these different cities that we're going to be reading about in our next unit. And then we'll probably be able to compose a little short paragraph about which city we would like to visit and why. So I'm really excited about that unit, just to kind of see what the kids come up with and their thoughts and their reasoning why. Third grade's unit is kind of similar. It's also talking about cities as well. So I'll probably do a little bit of a modified version of that. They've already told me what their favorite city is and why that's their favorite city. So for them, if their city is on the list of text that we read, we'll just add some more details and we'll write us something about that as well. For my second graders today, and I'm sorry y'all, I had to do some low lighting because it's Friday and I try to like keep us a little calm. So for my second graders today, we worked on our decodable text. And so as you can see, it is the CE words that make the S sound. So the first thing that we do when we get our decodable text is we go ahead and we highlight those focus skill words, and then I like to rainbow read. It's just a strategy to kind of get the kids engaged with the text and making sure they're focusing on each word, and that also lets me know which words they're still struggling with, so I can kind of plan accordingly for that. So the students really do enjoy this. And then at the top, I'll just scroll. It's so the original document looks like this from UFLI. And so what I do is I just work on it in Adobe so we can rainbow read. But then after we finish reading our text together, we highlight, we read our text together. I let them read it with a partner, or I'll go and listen to like a group of them as they're set up in their tables. I'll let them read it to me, and then they will draw their picture illustrating the text, and that'll be it. So Monday we will start with the G and the E that makes the J sound. So we'll move on to that, and then we'll have that lesson for about 2 days, and then I will give them the assessment on both the CE and the CE and the GE. So that's where I am with my second graders. With my firsties, we will be doing the same thing. I will pull up their decodable text for the short I advanced, and we will highlight the words. We'll rainbow read. We'll do that as well. With my kindergartners, we're going to go on to learn about the letter S and start putting the A, the M, and the S together, and be able to come up with at least 2 words, am and Sam. So we'll work on that today. And then my 5th graders, they're going to be working on the program Reading Rangers, and they'll probably also be working on Freckle as well, because they just finished their Unit 1 assessment. So I want to get with the ELA teacher and kind of see where they scored and what were the skills that they still need help with, and then we will work on that. But next week she says that they're going to be still working on author's purpose and opinion techniques, adding that in as opposed to the expository and the narrative techniques. So I'm doing some lesson planning now on my planning time, and so that's what we'll do. I'll move on to, I believe, short O review, both regular and advanced review for my first graders. Next week I'll be doing the T, and then trying to put in we'll be doing the T with my kindergartners, and then we'll start doing some short CVC words like at, Tam, Sam, and Matt. I think those are the words that we'll be able to put together since we've learned those sounds. And then we'll kind of continue on with our adventures in those upper grades. And yeah, that's the plan. So I'm going to finish up my lesson plans. That's how my Friday is going. The second graders, we were all into our decodable text and talking about it and everything, that I didn't get a chance to read them their chapter book. We kind of missed that. And the same thing with my first graders, we weren't able to read our chapter book. So I'm planning on reading for the first time to my kinder babies today and to my fifth graders, since they're done with their school city and they're just going to work on their program. I'll show you guys real quick before I end this weekly vlog. I do want you all to let me know if you do like this vlog. If this is something you would be interested in, you want to continue on this journey with me, definitely let me know. So in the little cubbies here, in the cubbies I have they're labeled. So this is where I put the novels that I read to them at the end of the week. So for fourth grade, we have Camp Scare. Third grade, we have No Talking. They really love that. What happened to the second grade book? Wait a minute, that's the second grade book. Sorry, that's the second grade book. The third grade book is Friendle. I love this for them. And then first grade, we are reading The Coffee Bean Kids. And for my kinders, I didn't pick a book for kinder, so I gotta pick a book for my kinder kids. Ooh, for my kinder kids. I don't know what I'm gonna pick for them. I'll normally try to pick, I might do this one. There Was an Old Lady, because I actually have the little puppet, so I might go ahead and I have kind of like the whole series. So I think I might read this to them. There was an old lady who swallowed a rainbow. So I think, so I'll just put that here in my bin, and that way I know when it's time, at the end of our about the last 5 minutes or so of class, I'll go ahead and just read them that. So thank y'all so much for joining me this week for my first weekly vlog as a peek inside of what I do as an intervention teacher here with ELA at the elementary level. So thank y'all for joining me. Go ahead and share this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you aren't new here, go ahead and leave me comments in the link, what you like, or if there's something that you want to see, if you're a fellow interventionist and you want to see how I do some other things in my classroom. Definitely let me know that in the comment section, and I will see y'all next week.